2200 just by not blundering. All right, let's get to it. All right, so I got black against a 2000 named Tam. Tam plays d4. Against d4, almost exclusively play the Slav, like I said. So they play the Queen's Gambit, and I'll play the Slav. They take exchange variation, so we'll recapture, and then they bring their knight out. Makes logical sense, so I'm going to bring my knight out. We're about the same rating here. Okay, so they bring their bishop out here. Pressuring c7. Now, are they threatening knight b5? It's possible in a lot of cases they are. So I'm actually going to play here to stop any knight shenanigans. Tam brings their knight out. I'm going to do similar. Tam plays e3, protecting d4 more, as well as protecting the f4 bishop and allowing their white square bishop to come out. Alright, so I think it's time to bring my white square bishop out here. Let's go to I'm trying to decide between f4 and g5. I think g5 is a little bit more productive, so I'm going to play there. Tam brings their bishop out here. Getting ready to castle. And now I think I'll just play this, reinforcing my d5 pawn and making way for my bishop to come out. My dark square bishop. Alright, they attack my bishop here. I don't want to get rid of my bishop pair, so I'm actually just going to back up. Alright, they castle, so now all their major pieces are connected. Now I think I'm gonna develop my bishop. And now I'm one move away from castling, so I'm not super worried about that. Alright, so they go there, breaking the pin on their knight. I think I'm going to castle. Now all my major pieces are connected as well. Somewhat dry position, but there's some play. So they bring their rook opposite my knight to open file. It's logical. And I think I'll do similar, get my rook active as well. So there's not... The reason why this position is kind of dry is because they play the exchange variation of the Slav defense. So therefore, when you're exchanging pawns, as you can see, the structure here is identical, so there's not many differences in the position. So white is basically banking on being up a tempo and that being valuable enough to press. And I have to figure out some way to make things interesting. So it's equal, but white is an iota better because they have an extra move. Okay, so they go there, stopping me from playing d5, which I did want to play. So that's logical. What to do here? What would you do here, guys? I'm thinking about... I think I just will move my queen out here. If my b pawn can't really move, I'll just put my queen in front of it. Now I'm attacking b2. It's questionable whether I want to take that pawn, because then they can play rook b1, securing my queen to my undefended b7 pawn down here, and then they'd be attacking e7 as well. Okay, so that's a weird move because they're connecting pieces. They're connecting their major pieces, but now I can attack their queen with a tempo with my bishop. Because this is a move I wanted to play earlier, but I didn't have a great opportunity, because if I played that earlier, they could play knight, to h4 and go after my bishop. But now with that tempo, I attacked the queen, so now my bishop can sneak over there, and I could make a flight square for my bishop and my king. So they challenged my bishop, which makes sense, because my bishop did get more active. Now this is my bad bishop, because it corresponds to my light square pawns. So I could trade immediately, or I could jump my knight in, London system like, to e5. So knight e5, hitting the queen, knight takes e5 is not possible, because d takes e5 lands a fork on knight f3 and bishop d3, so that does not work. They can take with the bishop if they wanted, but then I would have the bishop pair and a huge space advantage. So I actually like hopping my knight in instead of getting the better bishop. Yeah, because now I get two bishops. I'd rather have two bishops than a better bishop. I hop their knight in, pressuring my knight a little bit, but my knight is many times defended. However, their knight is attacking my bishop on g6, as well as they're also attacking d7, which would land a fork on my rook on f1, my queen on b6. So that knight is pretty intolerable, and I think he's got to go. But I have two bishops and a alpha 0 pawn on e5, so I think I've got a very nice position. I've just got to decide what to do with it. I think I'm gonna bring this rook over opposite their queen. Yeah, it looks like a good move. It's opposite their queen, so that always has to make them a little bit nervous, and it's getting onto a half-open file, maybe stopping any d5 pawn breaks that they may have in mind. time is getting below 15 minutes here, so I'm catching up on the clock a slight amount. But I like my position. I've got a space advantage, and I have 2 bishops. They do have a better structure, and they're pretty solid. But I don't see many pluses for their position. So I'd have to say my position is slightly better. And I think they're feeling a little bit, they're trying to figure out what to do here. Comes over with the queen, which not 100% sure what that's about. Possibly wanting to come over to g5. But then b2 would hang. So I don't know how compelling that is. So no big threats. Let me make a productive move. What do I want to do here? I think I found a nice cheeky move. Queen here, kind of shoving my queen into their position and making way for my b pawn to potentially move in the future. And I'm also pressuring their a4 pawn so their knight cannot move. Yeah, so queen goes there, but I'm confused about that because well, it does attack my e5 pawn, but again, I'm attacking b2. So first things first, the queen is also x-raying g7. So if I play, so I have to make sure that g7 is defended. So let me duck my bishop back here real quick and defend that pawn. Yeah, so when his knight takes, and now he's up a pawn, but I can win it back here. What to play though? Let's do the let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna take this pawn, and I'm attacking their rook. So I'm suspecting they'll play rook to b1, attacking my queen. But then I have rook c2 attacking their knight on the e4. So I like my position because again I have 2 bishops. The position's opening up. And it looks like I'm gonna have a passed pawn over here on the queen side. I have a cat trying to get in over here. Let me see which monkey that is. Alright. They go there. Not really much of a threat because even if they play h5, again, g7's defended. So I'm thinking about, playing the move I thought of playing earlier, which was queen c2, forking the knight in a4. Which I believe this one's a pawn. And then I'll have 2 protected pass pawns on the queen side, and I should be having a really strongly winning position if I don't mess it up. Yeah. looking for any tricks, and I do not really see them for white's side. So I think I'm going to take the a4 pawn and have two connected pass pawns. No tricks. I'm up one pawn, but it's almost like I'm up two pawns. Attack my bishop. But I think where should I go? It's slightly interesting where I should go here. I may just attack the rook here. Yeah. Gain a tempo on the rook. I could have gone to h7, but then that kind of blocks my king. Okay. Attacking my bishop. But I don't see what the, a huge issue with that, honestly. My king doesn't have too much room, but they don't have much activity, so it's hard to say how they're going to take advantage. And my back rank is somewhat covered because I have a flight square that's temporarily taken away. Oh, I think I can win a piece here. So if I take the knight, queen takes on e4, and then I can take the rook. So, yeah, queen's overloaded. The queen is stuck trying to defend too much in their position. Okay, so rook goes out of the way, or king goes out of the way, so that, I don't know. I don't know why the king is going there, but now they're down a piece, so. All right. Understandable move by them, I think. I mean, the knight is trying to get a little bit more active, possibly trying to go to d6, but it just blunders a piece. You have to ask what's going to happen when they capture. Yeah, and I'm going to capture that rook. You have to ask, what's going to happen if someone takes my piece when I move it here. You can't just assume no one's, they're not going to take it. That's kind of, it's very presumptuous. So, surprising blunders from a 2000, but very surprising blunders from a 2000. I mean, they're playing pretty well. I would say they're playing pretty well. I think my position is better, a lot better here, but nothing horrible, but then they played here, blundering a knight to a somewhat advanced tactic, but nothing crazy. It's just overloading it's just removing a defender essentially of the rook. It's removing the queen from the defense of the rook, and they have to accept being down a knight because they don't want to be down a rook. So I'm up a pawn and a knight. Now I attack the queen, and they forget to defend the rook. So I take the rook, and there was I. So good game, Tam. Let's go and look at the tail of the tape here. Well, let's go and analyze it for just a second. So Tam played d4. Hi, Aurora. I played the Slav defense. They played the exchange Slav. And the exchange Slav is actually a dangerous weapon as white. It's hard to beat as black, and sometimes white can actually get an advantage because they are up a tempo in a completely dry, otherwise equal position, so they can be said to have a pure advantage over you, even though everything's essentially equal. So it's slightly different than, some complex position where, okay, one side is slightly better, and the other side is slightly worse, but it's crazy and you have to figure out what's going on. But in these exchange Slav positions, it's very dry. Everything is pretty similar, but white's up a tempo, so they're always trying to, poke you and prod you and needle you and see if you make a little mistake, and then they can try to jump on you. It didn't work out in this game for white, but that's the idea. So I bring my bishop out, and it looks like I'll be 2100, guys. So, right, so I'm telling you, it's very easy to be an advanced player if you just don't blunder. I didn't play anything crazy in this game at all. All I did was not blunder. They bring their bishop out as well. I make way for my bishop to come out. They attack my bishop and make a flight square. I back up. They castle and connect the majors. I bring my bishop out. They break the pin a little bit. I castle. They bring the rook over. I bring my rook over. They stop me from playing b4, which is a good move. And no, I could not really play b4 reliably. At least I don't believe so. Without my rook defending my knight on c6, because there could be a lot of discovered attacks. Like, for example, if I play b4, there could have been like knight takes b4, and after a recapture on b4, c6 is hanging. That knight would not be defended, so that's why I brought my rook over to defend. So I bring my queen over, connecting my rooks and attacking their pawn. They don't defend the pawn, but again, it wasn't really, I would say, pressuring the pawn, because I'm not really attacking it per se, because I didn't want to take it and give them so much activity. But I didn't like the move for them, because now I can play a move I wanted to play but was not able to before. And now when they back up, now I can make another move that I want to play. And this allows a flight square for my bishop and my king. Always useful. Usually you don't want to play flight squares like for no reason. And you don't want to play them if there's like a random. Usually there's like 3 cases that you want to play flight squares. Usually if it comes with tempo and it's useful, if it's necessary to actually stop an attack, or it's just helpful in general and doesn't hurt you, and there's like nothing crazy going on. But you don't want to like overdo it playing flight squares. Alright, bishop comes here, and I like the move that I played, because the knee-jerk reaction, like in a blitz game, you might just exchange the bishops and say, hey, I have a better bishop, which is true. But it's better to have 2 bishops than a better bishop. Just always remember that. I jump my knight in, attacking their queen, and just, that's a really strong knight. So I think they wanted to get rid of it, and they understood only way to do that is to take with the bishop, but I think that's a mistake, because now I have 2 bishops and a space advantage. They bring their knight in, but now we trade, and I think I'm just in a better position here, so white's got to fight back hard to try to. It's one of those positions where there's nothing crazy in my position. It's not like I'm going to checkmate them or win a piece, but there's just these. I have several small advantages that I can continue to press and try to like win a pawn or whatever. And there's not much they can do, in my opinion. So I bring my rook over. So I guess I was getting confused about this move earlier. I guess it's to get out of the way of my rook. But now I can swing my queen in, which I like this move because I'm just getting into their territory and pressuring everything. Queen comes over. I do like this move for them. I do like this move because I thought they were going to play this, and it's active, and they're presenting problems. And right here, they're actually pinning my bishop. I can't move my g6 bishop because of the pressure on g7 with their queen x-raying it and their bishop x-raying it. So I can get checkmated if my bishop on g6 moves. Hence, I defended with my bishop, which is fine. I mean, the thing you like about bishops is they're so, long range. Look at how long, that how influential that bishop still is, even though, it actually backed up and now it's still controlling a lot of squares, and it's defending checkmate. So knight takes, they're temporarily up a pawn, but I get it right back. I'm attacking the rook, they trade, and now I think I'm just back to being better again. Pawn comes forward, but not really a threat, because again, g7 is defended. I go here, forking the a4, and pawn knight on d4. They back up. I snatch that pawn, and I believe this position should be winning. With those two passed pawns, it's really hard to say what to do for white, aside from like try to somehow stop them. But I mean, look at my two bishops aiming at, at those squares to escort the pawns. I think they're unstoppable. I could be a lot of masters in this position. Not grandmasters, but I could beat a lot of masters. Attack my bishop. I attack their rook. They attack my bishop. I back up. They attack. They try to swing in with their knight, but that's a huge blunder. You can't just assume that you can move it to a square, especially if it's guarded. You should just ask yourself, what's going to happen if they take it? Because I took, and they're like, oh, whoops. And then, just move their king just to try to... That was kind of cracking me up, because it's like... you just played a move to, like, and act like you weren't surprised or whatever, but it's like, you're good enough to see clearly that you can't take my bishop, so why did you move your knight there? I'm not harshing, this guy's mellow or anything, but I'm just asking from a general standpoint for all of you guys. That's a good lesson, because I've done that many times. I've blundered so many fucking pieces. I've blundered hundreds of pieces of like that, okay? And but it's good to ask, what happens if they take that piece? It's called overloaded. The queen is defending too many squares and can't defend them all at once. The queen is an octopus. The queen is like a mom with 8 kids, and she's got octopus arms, but she can't grab everybody. So I'm a piece, and I attack the queen, and they lose heart. They're not really fighting back anymore. So they're not thinking about what moves to play. So they go here, and I take the rook, and they resign. So another pretty smooth game, and I'm not sure there's a ton to analyze with the engine, but let's see what the engine has to say. Engine. Yeah, it's +9 in this position. Let's see what the computer analysis has to say. Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty smooth game. I was just winning most of the game. Never really let it slip too much. It looks like I kind of get my position back here a little bit. What happened here? So it's... let's see what happened here. So I'm winning here. But it actually doesn't like that. That's funny. The computer disagrees with me constantly. This happened the other day where I told you guys something was bad, and the computer was like, "No, that's good." Chess is hard, man. Look, I wanted to take the bishop because I'm like, yeah, that has to be good, right? Because I have a better bishop, but I figured, let me get my knight into an active post, and if they take me, I have 2 bishops. So, fuck you, computer. Well, let's see what the computer has to say. Why is this horrible? I mean, I guess it's just not really doing much. The knight's in an active post, but it's not doing anything, and then I don't have any imbalances like a better bishop. So it's just an active knight versus a better bishop, because they're not forced to take. which I knew they weren't forced to take, but I figured they would. I wasn't depending on them taking, but I thought, my knight there would be really strong. But the computer says it's not that strong. Interesting. So a lesson here could be that you sometimes want to go for concrete, long-term long-term. So, hi Aurora. You want to go for concrete, long-term positional advantages over, sometimes over dynamics. Like I was hopping my knight in, getting a tempo. My knight's in an active square, but then once the queen moves over, I don't have much, as opposed to having a better bishop. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Thanks, computer. Okay. So I'm not winning, and I'm just a tiny bit better here. So it's interesting. It's interesting, but I still like my position a lot. I would take my position here all the time. Queen goes there. Okay. Oh. What? Oh, okay. Dang, I didn't really notice that my bishop was hanging here, right here, and he could just frickin' wreck my structure. Ouch. I mean, it's, the computer isn't concerned, but I don't like that. Okay. So, I didn't quite notice here that, oh, let's see what we got. What's the position? Sorry guys, I'm looking for the position that I just had. Aurora, what are you saying? What, baby girl? Can you be my chess buddy? Ugh. I say hello to Aurora. Anytime I play chess, I have a chess buddy. Alright, so let's just investigate this position here a little bit. Yeah, so here I start to be winning again. But I take here and that's not winning because his rook can go there. And I thought about trading here and then he takes and then taking the pawn. But I thought that this wasn't good for me, but boom, wins a knight. See, king, knight, queen. Gotta calculate. That's a nice move. So he can't move there, and he has to move his rook away. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like in a real game, like if you see that position on the board, you see that tactic in a second. But sometimes you don't see stuff in your head, and you really should always just like you can even conceptualize it instead of visualizing it. You can say, okay, the rook isn't on the back rank anymore, so technically I can go there. You don't even have to be like, I can see in my head that the rook's not there, like I'm Beth Harmon, or Bobby Fischer. You don't have to do that. Okay, but I'm winning again. This is an engine line or something. What's going on here? I don't think I fucking played that. Yeah, it's an engine line. What the heck? Okay. So I am winning here. Yeah. I'm just +2. Okay. Back my bishop up. They go here, well-intentioned, because they wanted to jump into d6 which would fork my rook and my pawn on c8 and b7. However, this blunders. Bishop takes e4. Not saying that the queen cannot recapture without losing the rook on d1. So they go out of the way, but now I attack the queen. They forget about the rook, and I take the rook and win. So guys, did you ever think that you could just whoop on 2000s just by playing chess, just by pushing wood? You know, you don't even have to like, I don't play tactics. I don't you know, study you know, I don't memorize rote opening theory. I don't play tactics puzzles. I don't read chess books. The only thing I do, guys, is I watch Ben Feingold, I watch John Bartholomew, and I try to internalize the crap that they're telling me, and that's it. And then I don't make blunders. Like, I try to be like, okay, is my move safe? Is my move safe? Is my move safe? And you can just win and win and win. And the good thing is, as you get better, when you're playing these 2000s and 2100s and 2200s, they teach you how to get better by playing, because you're like, oh, I see what their move is doing. Okay, you know, I have to reply to that. And, you know, even as a safe player, like, I get in wild, crazy positions because my opponents attack me, right? You still have to be prepared for it. But again, another game where I just win by not blundering. So we are over 2000, and actually I think we're in 2100. So next video we could well be playing some masters and maybe smashing on them as well. Alright, good stuff, guys. Is there anything else to say about this game? I don't think so. The graph was pretty accurate after that. And my time management was good. I had 8 minutes here, and they only had, you know, increment notwithstanding, they only used a minute on their clock. So they just move too fast. People move too fast, guys, and you can take advantage of that. When someone moves too fast, you can say, you know, you can't have calculated everything, you know, and thought it all out thoroughly in 5 seconds. So you're basically making a move off of intuition and pattern recognition, which, you know, means there's like a 50-75% chance that you're right. But concrete calculation matters most, and that's why I always calculate. So like the things that matter to me as a chess player are 1, positional principles, and 2, calculation. That's it. And, you know, everything else is attached. You know, there's tactics, but that tactics requires calculation. Tactics, you know, you can pull off tactics just by calculating. You don't even have to say, oh, there's a tactic. You can just calculate forcing moves, and the tactics are inherently being played out by you making captures and threats, right? So, and I love tactics. I love, you know, this. I was very happy when I could play this overloading tactic, and I saw it quickly, because I was like, I'm gonna take that. You take, and I wanted to take it anyway. So I was right. It's like, that's the funny part. I would have taken that knight even if the rook wasn't hanging, because now the queen has to take, and, you know, I'm just up a pawn, and I can push these 2 pawns and queen them, and but it just so happens to hang a knight. So, all right, good game, Tam, and to all of you, if you have any questions about this game, any comments, please let me know. And I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you quite soon for another climbing the rating ladder, or maybe a tournament analysis video. All right, peace.